the women in the world that Diddy could have gotten with, he chose 50 Cent's baby mother.
It's a lot of variables to this particular question. Because I talk to a lot of people, older, younger, even my daughter, who's 22, she didn't understand it. So people give their opinion based on what they've experienced and their environment, people they've been around. So to the people that understand boundaries and respect, I always tell men you should never date another man's girl if you're not.
He made it clear that crossing that boundary is one of the highest forms of disrespect. He explained that he has always intentionally stayed away from anyone linked to a close friend or associate, because in his eyes it's an unspoken code that should never be violated. He also highlighted that Diddy has endless choices given his influence, wealth, and worldwide status, which makes the situation even more striking. From TK's point of view, this wasn't an accident or a careless decision, but a calculated move, especially when you factor in the long-running friction between Diddy and 50. All of that makes it difficult to see the situation as anything other than deliberate, adding deeper meaning to an already tense and rapidly unfolding story.
Mother of one of his rivals.
Exactly.
Someone who had been taking shots at him for years.
Absolutely.
On purpose.
And he went after her knowing that they had beef.
Right. And slutted her out.
Slutted out.
Just slutted her out.
Slutted out.
Having a whole basketball team run a train on her.
Totally
and
did. I
just
totally
the whole
agree.
thing, right?
Totally agree.
Right.
But his reputation from when he worked at Uptown, I'll be sure's girlfriend.
Oh, Kim Porter.
Kim Porter.
Right.
That's his reputation.
I'll be sure his baby mother.
Baby mama.
Yeah.
Then Eric Serm, his friend, the one that she had his baby, Mia. So he's had a reputation of going after people.
Tupac's ex-girlfriend.
Tupac's ex-girlfriend.
He got a baby with her too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point that I'm making to the men listening, well, if you don't understand this, then you're just poorly educated and don't really have common sense. It's a no-no. There's no way I would go after Vlad's ex-girlfriend.
Right.
I'm so loyal that if I met a woman and she said, "Oh yeah, I stay Vlad," I can't f with you, man.
Right.
I won't even put excuse my language, because that's how I move. Other people don't move like that. But you see me in Paris, you see me all over the world. Why would I want to do that?
While 50 Cent's documentary continues to gain huge attention and positive reactions, not everyone views it as a total win. Gene Deal has entered the conversation with strong criticism, arguing that some elements of the project were not as original as they appeared. He claims that certain ideas mirror content he had shared in the past, without being properly acknowledged. According to Deal, those sections didn't come from new research, but from reused concepts, which raises concerns about who really deserves credit. His statements have introduced a fresh wave of controversy, redirecting some of the spotlight from the documentary's success to the way its narrative may have been created behind the scenes. He also touched on the growing talk that 50 might release even more content online in the future, suggesting that if new material does come out, there may be very little anyone can do to prevent it. From Gene's point of view, if there were truly a way to block or silence the documentary, it would have happened by now. The fact that it's still available in his eyes says a lot about where real influence stands today.
He said that he had a lot of footage had to be down, the documentary had to be downsized. You understand? I don't really believe that, because a documentary is a documentary, and they could have had 45 minutes, they could have had an hour, to each one of those. You understand? They left out certain things. He said they even left out the one about Sarah Chapman. You understand? And for whatever reason, he probably left out a lot of other different stars too. Situations that they could have spoke about. You understand? I have a problem with the documentary, and I'm just gonna let you know that the reason I have a problem with the documentary is that they know that they took my idea. You understand? They know that when I came to them, I laid out what they should do and how the documentary should be. You understand? She can say whatever she want to say. I talked to those producers before I even talked to her. They wanted to know what I had, what I was bringing, my pictures, all that stuff like that. And I told them about me, Tim, and Kirk. You understand what I'm saying? And how it would go. They did the same thing. This ain't the first time they stole from me, man. You know, if you look at the Notorious Big, if you watch the Notorious Big, that part about the shoes, I had that in my book. And I was talking to K.O. Copeland. He was one of the writers of that movie. And I told him about when I let Big use my shoes at Soul Train Award. You had this old flunky ass dude, Mike B, get on Angie Martinez's show and talk about, yo, Big, he wore mixed max shoes and he went out there and performed. When you go look at the film, when you go look at Big performing that on that show, ain't nothing mixed match about them shoes. It was $800 Maury's, size 14D. Big wore 14E. E means that his shoes is a little wider than mine. He struggled, but he put them on and he went out there and performed. Those was my Gators that he had on. You understand? They did a little skit trying to disrespect me in the movie. You understand? And they said something.
The project's continued presence sends a strong message, raising serious questions about how much power Diddy actually is left and whether that control has already begun to slip. Jane took the idea even further, saying that Diddy's fixation on Tupac wasn't just a brief interest or a temporary reaction. He described it as a long-standing mentality that stayed with him for years and quietly shaped the way he thought and operated. According to Jane, this mindset influenced decisions behind the scenes, guided major strategic moves, and affected how Diddy handled both his personal connections and business relationships. Jean added that this way of thinking never really disappeared, but instead became a steady pattern in Diddy's behavior. From his perspective, it turned into a core influence that drove long-term planning and deliberate actions, with effects that are still being felt today, long after the original events took place.
And if 50 do another one, and I heard he's going to put it on YouTube or do whatever he's going to do, Puff ain't gonna have nothing to do with that. Puff ain't gonna have nothing to do to try to stop that because he can't. Because if he could stop it, it would have been stopped. You know why he can't stop it? Because Puff know people right there at Netflix. Don't think he don't. And I don't know if this guy still work for them, but he was part of the Flavor Unit, Shakim. He was part of the Flavor Unit. He was good friends. He was cool with Puff and them. Flavor Unit and them, Queen Latifah and them, they was cool with Puff. If Puff would have sent the cease and desist over there and they could do it and he had the power and they wasn't right, they would have been done it. You see, it's still rolling, right? It's still going on, right? He ain't got that power no more. You understand? Now, could he sue them because they use his likeness or use something and stuff like that? I don't know. I'm not that versed in they using him. You understand? If they can steal your whole damn idea, your whole damn ideal, why can't they steal your whole damn intellectual property?
Still, the documentary isn't without its shortcomings, and one of the most discussed is how little focus it gives to Kim Porter. As Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of his children, she played a major role in both his private life and public image. Yet her presence in the story was limited to only brief references, which left many viewers surprised by how small her role appeared to be. Kim Porter passed away suddenly in 2018 at just 47 years old, with pneumonia listed as the official cause. However, the unexpected nature of her death has continued to raise questions and fuel public discussion over time. Considering how deeply connected her life was to Diddy's for so many years, many felt her story should have been explored in much greater detail. By moving past her so quickly, the documentary felt incomplete to some, highlighting a significant part of the narrative that remained largely untouched and leaving the sense that important context was missing.
Interview that 50 did with Sherry, and he was talking about he didn't release the video about Puff having a kid by Kim Porter's friend, Sarah Chapman. Now, we all know that she used to date Tupac. You understand? So either he got her because he wanted some remnants of Tupac. We don't know. But it seemed like every dude that he had some kind of disdain, dislike, or that he idolized in a sense, he wanted their girl. Or he wanted to be a part of their girl. I don't know why. Yo, bro, this dude was, I don't know if he was in love or in hate for Tupac. He wanted to be an actor. He auditioned for Juice. But Pac beat him out for that Bishop thing. You understand what I'm saying? He wanted to be a part of that. Just go, and not so many years ago, when Puff started getting into that drugs and started using drug stuff, he started revamping some of Tupac's speeches. And if you think I'm lying, go look at the Grammy speech he did. Go look at a couple of speeches he did. It was the same exact words Tupac had said. That he was going to start this whole revolutionary of our people. That's Tupac. Black Lives Matter, the Black Liberation Movement, that was Pac. The Black Liberation Movement. Black Lives Matter? Come on, bro. This dude, everybody know that he had some kind of, I don't want to say disdain taste, but he had some kind of, jealousy of Tupac, bro.
She was widely regarded as being at the very core of his life, involved in everything from private personal moments to major business choices that never became public. Yet despite how close she was, the documentary barely explored her influence or point of view. Several people have suggested that her story may have been deliberately left out, possibly because it was seen as too sensitive or complex to handle openly. Gene, who says he knew her personally and supported her on multiple occasions, believes she was much more aware of what was really going on than most people assume. From his perspective, excluding her voice removed an essential layer of insight. Without her side of the story, the overall narrative loses depth and feels noticeably unfinished, especially given how deeply she was connected to the events happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Why? Because of all the videotapes, because of the book, because of all the people she gave copies of her book to, or at least chapters, because of everything that she had on him, because of the tape that she used to blackmail him into a relationship and into a raise of him being sodomized by Andre Harrell. And I am not saying that allegedly, because I heard her and Kim Noor talking about it in the booth of the bathroom while snorting.
Very little of that background made it into the documentary. Instead, Kim's role was limited to a few images and a short reference labeling her as the mother of Diddy's children before the narrative quickly shifted elsewhere. For many viewers, that lack of attention felt surprising, especially considering how deeply involved she was in both his personal life and his business affairs. Seeing someone so closely connected to everything behind the scenes being brushed past raised obvious questions about what might have been intentionally left out. Adding to the controversy, Mark Curry has spoken publicly about what he described as a disturbing dynamic between Kim and Diddy. He claimed that Diddy kept close track of her private conversations and reacted aggressively when something didn't sit right with him. Mark recalled an incident where Diddy allegedly became furious after learning that Kim had spoken on the phone with producer Shakir Stewart, later confronting him at a public event and escalating the situation. According to Mark, moments like these pointed to a controlling atmosphere that the documentary failed to address, strengthening the idea that important stories and perspectives were deliberately avoided.
And that her book was about to come out. And she was talking about all the perils, everything that she went through in the music business and with Diddy. All the men that they slept with together, because there were men that they slept with together, There were swinging times that they slept with together. I don't know, man. How do you put your girl through some shit like that? Or how do you look at your girl and knowing that she's another dude? What kind of demonic mind you have to be that far gone where that don't bother you? And got rid of them. They swimming with the fishes.
Wow, man. So she was about to expose all that in her book, them sleeping with men together.
She was going to expose everything. I heard it was tell all.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Just curious, right? Did you know that Diddy and Kim had that type of relationship back then in real time?
Yeah. Yep. Because I know somebody personally that lives in Atlanta that was swinging with them. And I would never mention his name because he's a good brother. And he knows my family down there, he knows my family down there. And, I would never, put his name out there like that. He's been in the music business. He didn't put a lot of groups.
This absence seems to reflect a broader pattern, especially when you consider how quickly the documentary glossed over Diddy's infamous parties. For years, those gatherings were rumored to draw in influential people from different industries, yet the film barely touches the subject. There are no notable names, no real context, and almost no depth. That silence feels even more striking given how openly those connections were talked about in the past, and how many of the same figures have since gone quiet. The lack of detail doesn't come across as unintentional, but rather as another sensitive topic that was carefully avoided, strengthening the sense that certain discussions were deliberately kept out of the spotlight.
Just did a whole thing with the girl that he was dating was the one that was putting the wiretaps and all of that out. It was a clear case. She came, hey, I was the one who was doing the wiretaping and all of this, right? The tapping. So I knew about this before she came out and said that she was the one that was doing it. I was sitting there like, damn, he know everything she doing. He know her conversation. I'm sitting there like when I'm sitting there right there next to him, when I'm hearing them saying, this is what Shakira Stewart was saying to Kim Porter on the phone that made him mad. That made him so mad at Shakira Stewart when he went to L.A. Reid party, hit him with the chair. You don't think if he hit a man with a chair for dating this girl, they gonna have a fight at home too. You know what I mean? That's why, they say he busts her nose up on the boat. And have you ever been to Sandro Pay's here? Brother play a mandolay. Remember that was in his song? I need a good woman next to me. So then it happened in what was it, Sandro Pay? Like that island. And then he bust her nose. She said, they tried to make it seem like she slipped and fell. She slipped and fell and broke her nose. Nah, the truth was she slipped and fell and landed on his fist. Yeah, but that's what happens when you put your hands on females. I don't really have much respect for a man who's physically abusive towards women, man. I kind of think they be...
Jaguar Wright has pushed the conversation beyond the music world, suggesting that the foundation of Diddy's story was shaped long before fame, starting within his own childhood home. She claims that during his early years, his mother was frequently distracted by a constant flow of unfamiliar people coming in and out, which created an unstable and unpredictable atmosphere. According to Jaguar, growing up in that kind of environment can strongly influence a child's psychology, leaving lasting impressions that don't simply disappear with success. She believes those early experiences had a significant impact on who he eventually became, long before the music industry ever entered the picture.
All his celebrity friends that denounced those allegations and were like, "This is false," and
liars.
They were saying, "Yeah, should they speak up now?"
It's getting a little too late for those who are complicit. Stevie J should be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him. Off of Justin Bieber.
Or also highlighted that Diddy has openly expressed a sense of pride upon learning about his father's dangerous, street-centered lifestyle, and she believes that reaction speaks volumes. Embracing that image rather than distancing himself from it indicates just how deeply those early influences were embedded. She argues that this perspective offers a clearer understanding of how his mindset, values, and sense of self were shaped from a young age, and how those foundational experiences may continue to influence his decisions and behavior even today.
In his own mama house. All of those strangers, them up involved, looking around, seeing what was going on. And let's just be clear, it sounds like her house was a house of, professional freak-offs. So who knows what he saw or what could have happened to him while she was busy entertaining people and pouring and getting tips, as she would say, for her after-hour life.
Oh yeah. He was. I'm gonna say he was surprised to hear that.
School bus driver. No, was he surprised or was he like, zip it, you talking too much? Because that's what it looked like to me. It looked like you talking a little bit too much. They don't need to know about that. While she was sitting up there, because I was a bus driver and I was this and I worked at the after hours. And I reported Aguilar.
She connects that mindset to how hip-hop culture later celebrated larger-than-life personas, pointing out that many artists adopted names and imagery drawn from classic film characters symbolizing power, intimidation, and control. Jaguar argues that Diddy didn't simply admire those images from afar. He felt a personal connection to them because they reflected the world he grew up in. In her view, this link went beyond music or branding and played a key role in shaping his identity. She also discussed his relationship with his mother, describing it as unconventional and at times tense, and suggested that deeper, unresolved dynamics were at play. According to her, this added a darker, more unsettling layer to the overall story, including claims that he at times blurred boundaries by projecting his experiences and identity onto his surroundings.
Own words, in Diddy's own words, he had said he had a sigh of relief learning that he was the son of a hustler or a gangster. Like he wanted that status. He wanted to say that he was a sigh of relief is a wild thing to say, that your daddy was a gangster or a hustler. That's what you heard that he was.
Well, I mean, like Tim said, they had a bunch of blaxploitation movies being played around the house all the time. They grew up with the Mac playing. They grew up with Superfly playing. Like, I mean, if that's what you got going on, you got two women in the house and there's no men around, and these are what the little boys are watching. You got basketball players coming over late at night. You got hustlers coming over, PIMPs coming over, women who look like they were modeling for Jet Magazine coming over. Like, it sounds like the nature of the environment is what shaped their perception of what cool was. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure for him it was, oh man, that's who my dad was. So I'm sure for him, it made him feel good because all of that stuff that he was watching, he really came from that, but that was really his legacy. And yeah, I'm sure for him it felt good to know that his dad was this big hustler who turned out to be a snitch, who got his brains